Welcome to the greatest American art form, the mixtape. Mixtape, a homemade compilation of media typically from multiple sources recorded into a medium. Mixtape Therapy, a compilation of authentic conversations recorded by multiple people on my podcast. Our connections are experiences that we have, and I hope these mixtapes make us feel more connected. Remember, be authentic. They'll adjust. Has y'all's relationship always been the same, or at some point did y'all not like each other, and then at some point y'all did like each other, and then was back and forth, or whatever? Anyone can go.
So when I was a baby, and I've been told this story multiple times from multiple sources, when I was a baby, we were visiting our grandfather, and we were taking a picture with him, and Norman's leaning into me, I'm leaning into him, and our grandpa's right there, and I don't know, Mom was taking a picture, and they were like, smile. Norman goes, I hate you. And they took the picture, and then I think my grandpa smacked Norman in the back of the head.
How old were y'all?
I was a baby, so Norman was 8.
Probably
9.
1. I was probably 9.
Yeah, something like that. But Norman always said he didn't like me because I stole his thunder, and that his allowance went from 5 He-Men to 3 G.I. Joes, and then when my sister was born, his allowance was 1 Ninja Turtle a month or something. Like, it went down, not even in monetary form, in the amount of action figures he was allowed to buy.
My meager inheritance, very, very meager inheritance,
Hey Norman,
has been halved and then third.
Yeah.
Hey, who got those He-Man? Who got all that stuff whenever you were done with it? All the He-Man and stuff.
He got all this stuff.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. That's
You know what I
that's your
do
inheritance,
remember,
son.
though?
Hand-me-down king right there.
Let's go. No, I was kidding.
Yeah.
But I do remember at one point when I was a little kid, I remember at one point we were trying to collect and you were trying to teach me about not opening shit. Like, you remember when the X-Men action figures, we were all hung up on those things, like, and we'd see them. I don't remember. I remember I have some memory of us being in a room. I don't know if it was our room or somebody else's room, but they had X-Men action figures in the box on a wall, like still in their packaging, but hung up on a wall for like.
Y'all friends some nerd or what?
Probably. But
I remember something. Hey Norman, that wasn't your wall,
unless
was it?
we were at a toy
Those X-Men are out of there.
Just like my sneakers, and I tell people wear your sneakers, I play with my toys.
Yeah, but I remember I have some specific memory I thought about where, like, you were trying to teach me about collectibles at some point. And it had to do with the action figures, and it had to do specifically with X-Men action figures that we were trying to find, and G.I. Joes. I remember one G.I. Joe in particular, the Ice Cream Man. He was like an orange and tan Cobra soldier, and I remember that action figure to this day.
He sold stink bombs, and
he sold our G.I. Joes for stink bombs.
No, Austin, I'd collected baseball cards and basketball cards. And this dude traded away a Michael Jordan hologram card for a Pokemon card. And it wasn't his Michael Jordan card. That's for sure.
It was not.
So when I found out and realized that card was no longer there as part of a set, I wanted to get my card back. And, of course, it was some kid that he traded to at school, and there was no way of getting that back. So thank you for that. There's still a missing card.
I want to know, what's that Pokemon card worth, you know?
Probably nothing.
Probably nothing.
And
I don't even remember I don't remember the card.
Last time I checked, that card was somewhere around $150 when last time I checked. And this was many years ago, so who knows what it's worth now.
And that was like 25 years ago.
I mean, you could have got a better Pokemon card.
Yeah. Yep.
If it was a first edition Charizard or something, bro, and I still had that card, we'd be sitting on money, and he wouldn't be talking about Michael Jordan card anymore right now. But it was not.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, Norman, that kid probably don't have that card no more either.
Yeah, that doesn't make me feel better. It would be a part of my set right now still.
So you still have that set without that card?
Yeah.
God bless, Austin. You need to buy this card for this dude. What are you doing?
Yeah.
As soon as I am able to do that, I will be reciprocating.
Yep.
Heavily.
I was just hoping it's still $150. It was probably not. Huh?
That'd be fucking sweet if it was, because I would have bought that thing.
Hey, but here's the good part about it. You don't have to buy him a graded one, because that's not what you gave away.
No.
Just buy a non-graded one.
Just give me some.
We'll look it up later.
You know.
I need a Jamie is what I need. Where's Joe? Joe, where the fuck are you, Joe?
I need to fill it back up, get my set completed. But
So, would you say you would say y'all are pretty close now though, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So when did it change? When did y'all go from kind of not getting along to getting along? Like what was the? I mean, was there an event? Do you remember?
we've always gotten along. It's just we, had typical older brother, little brother stuff, and especially because we had a 8-year age difference. So I was getting into things that he wanted to be involved in that he was literally way too young to do or whatever, and or it was I'm doing things with my friends and he wanted to come be involved or something like that.
And I mean, dude, I always looked up to Norman. I mean, we shared a room for a long time in that
Yeah.
small little 2-bedroom apartment at the Arbors. Shout out, one of the sketchiest apartment buildings I've ever seen to this day.
The Arbors is not that bad.
Where is
It's
this
not
at?
really
Where is
that
this
bad.
at?
This is actually
In Wells Branch.
It's
Yeah.
not really that sketchy.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad. I'm just talking shit because it's old now. And but we shared a room, and Norman had all the cool stuff, and I was just a little kid. And he on his half of the room, it was just cool shit on the walls: Tupac, Biggie,
He just didn't, I
Bo
just don't want you
Jackson
touching my stuff.
I always wanted to touch the stuff. He had the 2-tape boombox
Yeah.
that he used to record his own mixtapes on. I remember a day where Norman, actually, specific story we haven't talked about yet. I listened to my brother do a Yo Mama joke battle live on air and fucking win.
Yes, I did.
And
On like the radio?
On the radio.
dude, on the radio. What were you trying to win? Tickets to what?
It's I won tickets to a premiere of what was that movie with Morgan Freeman where he was the president and the world came to an end. Deep Impact.
Yes.
Deep Impact. That's what it was. So I
You
won.
remember the jokes that you used?
I do know some Yo Mama joke.
I remember
don't
I remember the hops. I think I remember the hopscotch one. Your mom is so fat she plays hopscotch with the states, or something. And then I don't remember any of those, but I remember him doing the Yo Mama battle, and I remember the other guy being just dry as hell, like just no finesse, no skill at all,
No delivery.
no delivery. The dude was terrible, and Norman absolutely mopped the floor with him.
Okay, really quickly, let's do impromptu Yo Mama battle. Go, Norman.
No,
Oh,
no, it's the same
shit.
mother, so we can't.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, that's my mom you're
That's my
talking
mom
about,
you're
bro.
talking
No, but that's the best part about it. Is that's like I want to see how gentle you're willing to go.
That's literally like you see those memes or something making some fun of somebody's mom, and I want to send it to my brother. I'm like, no, but then talking about my mom.
You're talking about my own mom.
I can't do that.
That's like when my sister, like to this day, will do some shit. I'll say something to her. She's like, "Yeah, your mama." I was like, we have the same mom, dude.
Yeah.
What? That's my mom you're talking about, bro. That's
your
my
mom.
words.
So y'all have always got along, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, so I'm just gonna go out on a limb and probably say that y'all are just kind of like it's typically what brothers do. Like everybody's probably had very similar experiences. But what do you think has kept y'all like tight? Because not everybody stays tight with their, they'll be tight with them when they're young. They might get tight with them when they're older, but then they fall out. So what do you think has kept y'all together like all these years? Just kind of,
Well, some people like we've had a lot of distance, like physical distance, since he was in middle school because they moved to our parents moved to Hawaii. I went out there for a little bit, but decided to come back here to Texas. So, and I've never left. And he's since moved from Hawaii to California to Vegas. And so we haven't lived together in 20 years, So, when we get together, it's an event. It's usually one of us, are on vacation. And
The most anticipated events of the year.
yeah. So we get to hang out. It's not like we do it a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously everybody's got social media and FaceTime and stuff, and we can do that. And we do that stuff.
I think me and my brother send more memes to you than anybody else on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how that's our way to communicate. Like I don't really have to talk. I don't have to call my brother every day and be like, "Hey man, how you doing? All right, love you, bye." Our thing, I guess, right now, because of the age of social media and where we're at, is like we just send each other funny ass shit and then just talk about it. And then if something happens with it literally anything in sports that would blow our minds, we send it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's how we communicate all the time. And then like, yeah, when it's almost like we save all the other stuff for like when we're in person. Like we don't talk about our family issues unless like it needs to be talked about. And then normally that's in person, which is, it is what it is. But we don't really have those kind of issues as much. But it's man, it's just how it is. It's yeah. It's just,
I have this theory that the meme replaced saying movie lines to each other.
Yep.
dude, we used to do that heavily as well.
But like, when's the last time?
Like,
Like, well, how often do you use like movie lines now? You don't? Do you
Well, I
really
just
do
did it
that
earlier.
anymore? Because I'll do it every once in a while,
Yeah.
but like not like I mean, I feel like guys kind of used to just quote movie lines all the
Dude,
time,
all
and,
the time.
and memes kind of took care of that whole.
Nonstop.
well, to this day, like even me and my homies, like we quote The Office to each other ridiculous amounts of times during a day, and it's just it's just one of those things that will never die. It's just like you're always gonna do it, even if it's not that much. It's still gonna happen.
From 2003 to probably 2008, the amount of times people said, "I'm Rick James, bitch," is just incalculable.
Yeah,
Everybody was saying those things, like whatever you saw on TV a couple nights before, like that's what people did, and it still happens, I guess. But people aren't glued to the TV as much; they're glued to their phones.
Yeah,
and they're glued to social media.
But what I would say to that, just really quickly, what I would say to that is, now there's those memes where it's a still shot of the movie, and then that quote is underneath it, and then they add, there's another joke on top of it, right?
It's like
And that's the answer, and that's become the new movie quotes or whatever.
Well, it's people being able to show their creativeness and their snarkiness, or whatever, their funniness, and being able to put these things together and send it out. And people are getting literally notoriety from it, becoming famous for their memes and making a lot of money when they start monetizing these things. So if you can do it well and make some money off of it, why not?
Yeah.
People weren't making any money off of telling somebody I'm Rick James, bitch, years ago. Now you can. So like that adds a whole nother dimension to it.
And that whole, just real quick to backtrack, that whole 03 to 08, I like to call that the fuck your couch era. Just a little tidbit there.
Well, it's just I don't know. It's just the way we took in media just like 10 years ago. It's just so different.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, total sidebar, and we don't have to talk about this, but really quickly, have y'all watched that Manti Te'o fucking?
Oh
shit?
hell yeah! Me and Heather watched that together.
Bro.
Shout out
I
to the wifey.
felt so bad for that dude. God
Dude,
damn! I was
so-
like, go ahead.
It's funny because I grew up on the same island as him, and like I brought it up at work, like, so from the beginning. My better half, shout out Heather Godwin, she pulled that one up. I didn't even know that documentary existed, and she's like, dude, you gotta watch this guy got catfished. And I was like, what? So we got really into it, and I was after like watching it and watching him talk about like where he came from and like why this was able to happen to him, I understood, because I came from that same place where you live on an island, you're shut off from everything. You're not shut off, but like the outside world is the outside world. Hawaii is its own world, So guys that are born and raised there, like Manti Te'o was, it makes sense to me. But when I try to tell people that didn't grow up in Hawaii that I believe him, they're like, oh no, you're full of shit. There's no fucking way. He's just saying he got catfished because blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, you got to understand where that dude came from. He came from a place where we're pretty closed off to like everything going on in the outside world. And like the term catfishing wasn't even really a thing from where we came from. And like
the people there just believe people too.
It's like you
I said earlier, I came from Hawaii. I was
and went to LA.
I went to LA as a very trusting person. And then I learned my lesson. And it kind of what happened to him.
Yep.
He grew up in Hawaii, trusting everyone and loving everybody, and just living.
He was surrounded by family,
by family and friends,
and he thought that this chick was a friend of the family. By the way, that person put together their friends of who they were.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh yeah, they're friends with so and so. They're a legit person. Now, granted, somebody who's seen enough catfishing realizes that's what they do, but he had no idea.
Because now in this day and age, you could spot that from a mile away, dude.
You can see a lot of,
and we call those bots.
Yeah.
But like people I'm sure people get catfished all the time to this day. But I mean,
sure.
It's probably a lot harder.
I mean,
to do
you
than
ever
it was
watch
back
Dr.
then.
Phil? I mean, like fuck,
all the time.
I
I have a feeling that a lot of that.
It's a lot, and it's a
all
lot of like
scripted and
old
fake.
ladies and stuff. But
there's
no,
a
all these
sucker
old ladies.
born every day.
There's a sucker born every minute.
Yeah.
Here's just really quickly. Here's my. Let me just add on to what you're saying. I think what you're saying is correct. I also think that he very much wanted. It was important to him to be in control of every aspect of his life.
Mhm.
And when you're that hyper focused, like something like that, maybe you don't even question, because you think you're like, oh, I'm control. This is under control.
Mhm.
Like this is just, and plus he's like really, really busy because he's doing all these things. So it was like perfect for him because he never really had to hang out with her, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it was just like encouraging messages. So it's believable that that he would kind of not have met her,
Yeah.
So I just because of his personality, and man, like when you see him cry, you go, man, that must have been a mental fuck for him
dude,
for him to have like to think that
absolutely.
everything was in, like, it's like just someone just shatters your world with some news that you just never like the aliens are landing. It must have been so foreign out
You're
of
adopted.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Right?
You're like,
what?
what?
Yeah, no, for real,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for
Like,
real.
so like it must have been just so out of left field for him.
And it was so far out of left field and everything, and it fucking ruined his entire life.
Yep.
That dude,
I think it ruined his NFL career.
No, it ruined his whole life, dude. Like, he was basically outside of, like, it's basically like he went back home, and of course his family believes him and trusts him, but the entire outside world outside of Hawaii fucking placed him as a lying pariah. Like, he and the entire NFL did that to him too. Called him a fucking fraud.
He was a victim of that bad viral. You know what I mean? Like the one that, like, there's these good stories, but nobody really thinks about all these bad stories and how it possibly wrecks these people's lives. You know what I mean?
They don't. It's wild to me.
Yeah.
Just for shits and giggles, Norman, lean forward and reach in that helmet and grab a little one of those little cards out of there and just see what the question is.
What was the most fun you ever had at a party?
Okay, so we're gonna fine tune it, y'all guys. I'm assuming y'all have partied together, right?
Yeah.
What's the most fun you've ever had with Austin at a party, Norm?
Oh, we went to our cousin's bachelor party in Lake Tahoe.
That's a good one.
A couple years ago, and that weekend was the weekend that the Texans were in the playoffs,
Playing the Bills in the wild card. Holy
dang.
shit!
And all the
Dude.
guys that went with us to the thing, our cousin's from Houston. Works in the hospitals in Houston, and a lot of his friends, all his buddies were from Houston, so there were a bunch of those guys were Texans fans. So we went, after we'd hit the slopes all day, we went to the bar at the bottom of the slopes and hung out there and basically took over a whole section of a bar there, and it was packed in there too. It was crazy, and we just had a hell of a time drinking and watching.
I'll tell you something right now, that everybody outside of our group that we were with, Bills fan or not, became a Bills fan because we were we pissed a lot of people off that day just by being obnoxious Houston Texans fans and rooting for our team. Everybody was rooting against the Texans that day, and we were not giving a shit.
You know what I think is kind of so interesting about that is when I see those kind of groups of people, like, I kind of don't want to get them grief because then I'm just like kind of shitting on the parade they're having that day. You know what I mean? And I don't know why, people feel the need to just, like, you've had, hopefully you've had good times with your friends.
I said,
and you've been annoying to somebody else at some point in time in your life.
Man.
So, man, like, let it go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I said obnoxious, and we probably weren't being exactly obnoxious, but we were being annoying because we were just having a good time, and we were being loud, just like many other patrons in the bar were being loud. But because we were such a big group and we just kind of came in there and took over a whole section in there, I can understand it. I've been on the other side of that at a restaurant where you're just trying to have a good time, and that can be distracting everybody else doing their thing over there. But it is what it is. You're out in public at a bar during playoff football.
You can just not let it bother you.
And here's the other thing. Instead of just not letting it bother you, I think the people outside of our group, they're just a little bit jealous.
Yeah,
that we were together as a group, even though me and my brother didn't know any of these guys except for our cousin.
Yeah,
and we all had we were all having a good fucking time together, and our team won that game, and we were losing our minds the entire, because it was a good fucking game, dude.
Yeah,
Roll the tape back on that game. It was wild, bro. It was before DW4 was a fucking weirdo, but like he was slinging bombs, and Josh Allen was his first year.
I think so.
It was his first year, and he was fucking red hot. Like, it was one of the best playoff games I'd ever watched, and the Texans fucking won that thing with a field goal from deep, and we erupted, dude. And when I turned around, the whole fucking place was empty. They let us finish out, which shout out whatever that bar and grill was over there at the end of what was
Tahoe.
that? Yeah, out in Tahoe, man. That was dude. That was a great day.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was a really good day.
Well, and let me just take a wild guess and say, it's not where y'all were at; it was who y'all were with and what y'all were doing.
Yeah, dude. We had just finished bombing the back bowl of Iron Horse, which is one of the most beautiful views you'll ever get in snowboarding or skiing. I can't even explain it. It was basically like you were in the clouds, you were in heaven, and then you were bombing, and then we bombed our way down a hill to go watch a fucking Texans game as a group, and it was just one of those things when I think about it, and because dude, honestly, that's a good fucking answer, because I wouldn't. Like, I remember it when I think about it, and like I'll think about it when I run by a picture of it. Like, oh fuck, man, that was a great trip. But then when you brought it up the way you did, I was like, holy shit, you're right. That was one really good party.
That whole weekend. I mean, of course, the bachelor weekend and stuff, and got together and
Dude, we were playing just like
yeah,
drinking games I hadn't seen before. We watched dudes do armless wrestling. That was hilarious.
Yeah,
Remember they put their hands in their pants and they're like
yeah.
trying to do the. Oh man, I never laughed so hard in my life. It was so funny. And we were in a sick ass cabin up in
Armless wrestling,
dude.
Put your hands in your pants
in your pants, like in your pants,
Yeah.
and then you have to try and you're basically
like kick their feet out from underneath them.
Yeah, and just trying
Jesus
to wrestle
Christ.
them down. Dude, it was funny.
Yeah.
I was watching these
White
dudes,
people, right?
It was white
Yeah.
people shit, but it was fucking great.
That's always white people.
I was thoroughly entertained.
Yeah.
I think I drank like 20 beers that night and did not get drunk because it was just like we were having so much fun. It's like I can't let my brain fail me now because there's too much cool shit going on. You know,
It was rad.
I think it would be a fair question, or it would be a fair statement to say that Norm, you've probably disappointed Austin, and Austin, you've probably disappointed Norm at one moment in time. It could have been when you gave away his Michael Jordan card, or it could have been another time. But
shouldn't laugh about that.
talk about like really quick, like how y'all have gotten past that stuff. Like, I mean, because that takes both of y'all to. When an event like that happens, that takes both of y'all to kind of like, agree to disagree or whatever else it is. So, like, could you speak to a little bit to how y'all kind of handle that?
Well, I mean, I haven't had a lot of instances I can think of disappointment other than my items being hawked for way less than their value. But I mean, with any person, the first part of dealing with that is them admitting that they had done something wrong, and once you can address that, then you can kind of work through typically whatever the situation is, and especially when it's your brother, then they're like there's things you want to die on a hill over, and then there's things that you just kind of have to let go of, let bygones be bygones. I think our relationship, whether we might get upset about something or whatever it might be, it just kind of, a lot of like what he said before about his job is like kind of just letting it go, like, all right, that's happened. Let's move on to the next thing. And we're both people like that can move on to the next thing, very typically pretty easily, as long as the other person has recognized what the issue is, that they made a mistake or whatever, or you can address if you both made a mistake about something and dealing with that, then you do that and you go forward.
Excuse me.
Or
Sorry.
you depending on the relationship, if it's not salvageable, then you move on from that person if you can't move on from the issue. But obviously, as a brother, we're not doing that. So it's just,
do you feel like that y'all are pretty straight up with each other all the time?
Yeah.
I have no reason.
Is that the way it's always been, or did y'all have to grow into that?
Pretty much. This dude can smell bullshit from like a mile away, so there's like no point in me lying to my brother about anything. Like, he was actually the first person I told when me and Heather found out she was pregnant the first time. And I was scared as shit to tell him because I was afraid of what he was gonna say to me, and I had to suck it up, and he had to be the first person to know. Because I mean, I could have called my dad first, and because I already knew his answer, but I already knew his answer. He was gonna be stoked. He wants grandkids, the typical dad shit, But and then I knew what my mom's answer was gonna be. She's angry as fuck. Norman was very calm and collected when I called him and told him like the most terrifying news of my life. And he was surprisingly, I was waiting for him to go, "You fucking idiot. Like, are you fucking kidding?" Like, just go off, but he didn't. He's like, "Okay." It's like, I explained myself. I felt like I had to explain myself like off the bat. And I was like, "Look, man, Heather's pregnant. I'm going to be a dad. Like this, that. Like, I'm going to, this is what it is." And then he was just like, "Sounds like you've thought this out. Sounds like you're ready for this, and I back you 100%." And that's all I needed. I don't need
You don't need somebody to be your dad.
Yeah, I didn't need him to sugarcoat things because he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that anyways. Any advice I've ever asked for, tell me I'm fucking stupid or not. But because I appreciate that kind of stuff. I appreciate straightforward people because I've dealt with a lot of crooked motherfuckers in my life. But
I think y'all both told me kind of the same way, like kind of not knowing what I was gonna say about it. And I think both that answer, I think I both told both of y'all when y'all both said y'all were both having kids was, "Are you excited about it? Are you stoked about it? Do you want to do this? Then cool."
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like that's all that matters. Like it doesn't really matter what anybody else says at this point. There's a child coming in the world. Y'all decide you're gonna have this baby. So
Ain't my baby.
I gotta take care of it. Are you happy about doing this? Okay, because I'm not friends with people who ditch their kids. So that is what it is.
So as we're like kind of wrapping this up, Norman, if you're ready, I would just like you to say something that you appreciate about Austin.
I have come to appreciate his dedication to his children. It's something that I've watched him do.
Did it worry you that maybe it wouldn't be there? Or did you know?
No, I wasn't worried about it because he has stepchildren and he was already taking on that responsibility very well, and integrated them into his life and him into their lives very well. And that didn't give me any cause. I was more scared about him integrating into that family already, more than him having his own kids.
I think that's much harder.
For sure. I'm a stepchild.
Hard, man.
I'm a stepchild. I know how difficult that can be for the stepkid and for the, and I'm sure it's difficult for my stepdad. It's just that can be difficult. So having experienced that, I worried about that for him. That being said, he's done great with that. When he said he was gonna have a kid, like I said, I was like stoked. If you're happy about it, then I'm happy for it. So seeing him with his children though, is his dedication to them and how good of a dad he is. That's I'm not a parent, and to see him be the way he is with his kids is a great thing. He's so proud of everything that he has with his kids and all the little things they do and all the time he gets to spend with them. He spends all his time with his kids when he's not working. So that's been a great thing to watch. Yeah,
it can make me cry, man.
Do it.
It makes for good.
I don't know why, but I'm a big fan when Howard Stern like people start crying on his show and he just kind of pauses and lets it happen. You know what I mean? But then what he always does afterwards is he tries to like cheer him up. He starts kind of making jokes and stuff. Yeah. And so he lets them ride the emotion I think people sometimes want to hear that. They want to hear that emotion, and then he follows it up and makes it
he's like
sure.
Cry. Yeah. Right, here's a dick joke. And
so Austin, what do you appreciate about Norm?
Well, I know I've said this before, but I've always appreciated the honesty, the no filter that my brother has shown towards me, which is something I didn't realize I needed until I realized that everybody was full of shit. And the only person at a good long portion of my life was full of shit. Not everybody, but I dealt with a lot of fake people. And my brother was never a fake person. Never been fake. Never sugarcoated. Any advice I've ever I've called him for or asked about. Like he's told me straight up. Or if he didn't know, you know, he looked into it, helped me out tremendously. And you know, he's always fucking boosted my confidence one way or another, as a big brother should. And he did a goddamn good job of it.
Do you take that when you think about your kids and like being a good dad? Is there qualities of that you kind of hone into that?
Dude, I try really hard to I mean, dude, actually I don't have to try really hard. When I think about our my stepson, our oldest, Gavin, he is literally like he I don't even have to teach him. He's just a good big brother. And nobody taught Norman how to be a big brother. He taught himself. And he did a good fucking job of it. I just hope that all my kids are like that towards each other, especially like, you know, our two youngest, you know, because like the two youngest have a great big brother, big sister. They love their little brothers very much. So it's almost something that I don't have to teach. Like,
But it starts with y'all.
it starts with us though,
You know what I mean?
and I think
Yeah, his in-laws are involved a lot. Like her brother is together a lot. So like they see family being together. They see brothers and sisters getting along together quite regularly, you know. So that's a good thing for them to see and
even though our two
imitate.
oldest have beef every day over everything, but they still love each other.
Yeah.
But like yeah, dude, I haven't had to really push any of it because they're just the two oldest are automatically just good at it. They picked it up really quick, and they're very helpful. They're very loving towards their brothers, and I can only hope that the two youngest ones, I mean, yeah, my Thatcher likes to beat up on his baby brother already, but now baby brother is like 1 year old as of yesterday. Happy birthday, Bodie. He's fighting back already, which is awesome, and it just shows me that, you know, these guys are just going to toughen each other up for life, and they're going to love each other. And as long as I keep them in a loving environment and stuff, like hopefully they just turn out like me and Norman are.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I was to say, you know, you're setting a great example.
Yeah.
In that way. You know
And I want them to see how me and Norman are for the rest of their lives. You know what I mean? Like me and Norman will fucking always be like me and Norman. We're always going to be this way. Nothing's going to change. Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Appreciate it all. Yeah, absolutely.
How I usually wrap the thing up is I usually get my guests
Do you need
to.
Norman to cry? I'm just kidding. Just kidding. He's not going to cry.
No, I will not.
I refuse.
I'm soulless. Okay?
That is so
Coldest.
untrue. He is so not soulless. That's so bullshit.
He's the coldest motherfucker in the game, y'all.
That guy's got a giant ass heart. It just fucking, it's busy.
He got a big ass head too.
I hear all these great things about myself, and it's like,
So how I usually wrap this thing up, I usually ask my guests, like, you know, how do you put moderation into your life? But since I have y'all guys in here and we're kind of doing a little special thing, what I'd like you to do is just kind of just talk about what Austin taught you about, you know, helping balance. Like what are the positives he's taught you and vice versa? And either one of y'all can go first.
Austin's very patient. I'm not a patient person.
Dude, yeah.
And that's a thing about like with his kids, like seeing how patient he is and how much time he dedicates into letting them figure things out and stuff. That's probably one of the main reasons why I've chosen not to have kids, is just because I know I don't have the patience for it. And that's okay. You know, some people just don't have that. But his patience level is something that I admire and aspire to have more of. And that's just in all aspects of life. You know, you can take patience and use it in a lot of different ways. And so, yeah, I look up to his ability to have really good patience.
Yeah, I got a black belt in that shit.
Yeah.
When you have 4 kids, and I like to call that playing life on hard mode.
I mean, I feel like it's like,
you have to.
what's above all Madden? Like, I feel, is there something above all Madden? Like, just playing in a
Hall
pro,
of Fame.
playing in a pro.
You know what? I'm
Hall
gonna
of
start
Fame
saying
mode.
that.
Is there a Hall of Fame?
Hall of Fame mode.
Oh man, it's so Hall of Fame.
I'm trying to play life on Hall of Fame mode.
I'm playing on rookie, dog.
Yeah.
Dude.
Like, I'm taking it.
Let me try to
Step
take
your
the easy
game.
Hey,
route.
whenever I play Guitar Hero, I don't bump up the level. I'm trying to like rock out. Like if I
Bro.
make it too hard, I can't have fun.
I used to-
Hey,
I
do
used to
you get
figure out-
a Super Bowl at the end of each one of those if you win?
Do I will do a what?
Do you get to win a Super, like say if you try franchise mode
Yeah,
and you choose which level of franchise mode.
right.
At the end of each franchise mode season, you win a Super Bowl, right?
I mean, I used to.
So whatever mode you get it on, you're gonna get it's the same reward
This is what I do.
in that game.
This is what
but
I do.
I get in life.
I
Yes.
start on I start on All Pro. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when I rebuild the Texans,
When
win. Last year it was still easy. This year it's gonna be tough, kids.
Trades.
But once I win a Super Bowl, I bump it up a level.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I play that until I win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And then at some point you start having to tweak it, other shit, because it get like some of those things get too, it's like just too computery. It gets too bullshitty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want it to be fun on some level. I can't have like some DB comes all the way across the field and intercepts something just because it's like all Madden and shit. It's fucking bullshit, bro. What are you talking about? So let's see. Austin, what has Norm taught you about just balance, or like what is he? Best advice, whatever,
Integrating new things into your life, especially when it's to better your health and your mental state and stuff. Like, I've been watching Norman. This dude's been taking care of himself and his health forever, and I wasn't really doing it as much until I got older, and now like I've been watching him, like he's very specific about what he puts into his body and about how he treats his mind and like his meditation state, and like and then on top of that, it also has to do with the bullshit he'll deal with and the bullshit he won't. And I have over the years picked up every little thing. I watch him, and if there's something he does that I can integrate in myself, I'll do it. I live in a house that is too loud to meditate in, but I find other ways to do that. but when it comes to taking care of your mind and yourself, so that obviously I can be around forever for as long as I possibly can for my kids. I've been learning that from him.
Be the weird guy in the park and go do your meditation.
Just fucking like in a tree or something.
Bro, I'm the weird guy at the gym. What are you talking about? Like I used to make fun of that cat. I was like, look at that dude over there doing that weird stretching shit. Who does it? Man, we're gonna lift weights, dog. Like,
I did it. I mean, I've meditated in the middle of Tulum at the ruins, just where people with tourists all around and stuff. Just because, like, if you want to find a place, where it's peaceful or whatever you need for your meditation.
Well, I kind of do this thing like with my daughter, where at moments I just like if she'll come give me a hug or something like that, like I'll try to like clear out everything and just go, okay, what does this hug feel like?
Yeah.
Like, what does this feel like? Hold on to this, right? Because this won't last forever. This is not gonna be forever. So and you're gonna forget it anyway. Like half the stuff I've tried to remember, I've already forgotten. Like what it felt like. Yeah. You look back at pictures, you're like, holy shit! Like what? Like how did we get here? You know what I mean? And she's doing so much stuff now, and that's me trying to pay attention. Yeah. Imagine if I wasn't. Imagine if I was just like zooming through life, not paying attention.
See, that's what I was doing. I was zooming through life after, I moved to LA, and I was just zooming through. I thought I was doing the right things, and I was not taking care of myself. I was not, dude. I was young, so like not a lot of things affected me, but as I got older, it was. And then there was a long point in my life where I did not give a shit what was happening to myself. And like as long as I was living, it was fine. But now I watch how seriously he takes his health and stuff, and it's been teaching me how to like really take myself seriously, because as I watch my big brother take himself seriously in every aspect of his life, I start doing the same. And of course, like off the bat, it never took me any time to be serious about being a dad. Like I was serious from the get. But like as the time has gone by, I've watched Norman and taken advice and watched him do things to better myself as a human and in every possible way. But yeah, everybody's still flawed. I know I'm flawed. I fucking talk too much, and I'm bouncing off the walls at all times, and I have a brutal caffeine addiction. But like but like everything else, right, fucking tip top, mate. And yeah, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Norman, do you remember this dark time that Austin's talking about?
Well, I mean, I know some periods where things weren't the best in his life. I would venture to guess that's probably some of it. I'm sure there's other things that.
What as his big brother, what was that like for you to watch him have like kind of these hardships that you didn't have any control over?
I mean, you always want to help your brother or sister out when they're going through something. But some things like relationships and stuff, like there's not much you can do. You can kind of give some advice, but really advice can go in one ear and out the other. He takes some of the things I say, to heart, and we'll do it. But there's been plenty of times where, he's chosen his own path to do something, and, the heart wants what it wants or who it wants or whatever it might be. And, I'm not the type of person to get in the way of somebody want. If you choose this, what you want to do, you're going to do that. So go for it.
I would assume you were still supportive though, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been supportive, even in the relationships and stuff that I wasn't thrilled with, like I'm not going to get in the way or try to come be some obstacle or make more issues for this kid in his life. Like that's
Well,
not
because when things if things go wrong,
Yeah.
he's gonna need you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you
That's-
gotta maintain that relationship. It's important. It's about him. It's not about you, right?
Yeah, that's more important to be able to be there for him than to be right or be the problem solver in the situation.
That's exactly what I hope all of my kids do for each other, is just to be there regardless of their life choices and stuff, is just to be there, be supportive. And if they do have to kick somebody in the ass, then fucking do it and don't have a filter.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it sounds from the way y'all described it. I mean, they got a pretty good they got two models that do a little bit of each of that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Did y'all kids have fun?
Yeah, we had a great time.
Hell of a good time.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
as
Okay.
usual.
So push those microphones out, because I'm gonna make you give me a hug.
All right.
Group hug?
Bring it in, boys. Yeah, you got a lot of dudes sweating here right now.